I got to tell you, I'm absolutely stunned at this first story, and the second story is a little wacky. The first story, and hi, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. The company that operates the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal that I was looking forward to attending, I didn't get to go last year, has canceled this year's edition. I was sitting at the lunch table eating my salad when I saw this come in, and I was like, wow, like absolutely stunned by this. The parent company says they are seeking protection from its creditors as they begin formal restructuring under Canada's Bankruptcy and Insolvency Act. In a statement, they said JPR, that's the French version of Just for Laughs, Board of Directors, after having extensively considered all available alternatives, came to the conclusion that the financial situation of the organization left no other choice than to initiate formal restructuring proceedings. The company's laid off 70% of its workforce, about 75 people, and has canceled 7 shows that were previously scheduled. The company hopes that the financial restructuring will allow the festival to return in 2025. I mean, I am just stunned by this. It's a fantastic festival that takes over the heart of Montreal. There's always a ton of comedians up there. It's a great event. Wow, I don't even know what to say about this. Really, really stunning. That took the place of what would have been the big news story for me. Nick Swardson, best known for his appearances in Reno 911 and Adam Sandler movies, was escorted off stage 20 minutes into a set in Colorado over the weekend due to, quote, bizarre belligerent behavior. User Sean Guy shared a clip on social. Let's listen.
What are you saying right now? I'll say this. Let me ask you this. This is a weighted question. What? Okay, I'll tell you a joke. All right, here we go. So one of my favorite things, I don't have kids. Anybody here have kids? What the F? So one of my best friends was a guy named Norm MacDonald. Do you know who he is? He's one of my favorite people.
So that clip abruptly cuts off. Witnesses say that at that point, the spotlights were turned off and the microphone was cut, so maybe that's why it cuts off there. Witnesses told TMZ that while some attendees were uncomfortable with Swartson's behavior, others cheered him on. In another clip, Nick Swardson can be seen rambling and struggling through an impersonation of Jason Statham as the crowd erupted in boos. A woman can be heard saying, "I can't take it, I can't take it, I can't take it." Witnesses say before Nick was led off stage, he gave a brief wave and flashed a shaka sign. After Swardson left the stage, the director of operations came out and apologized to the crowd, telling them the show had been officially cut short and refunds would be issued to those who bought tickets. Apparently, there's also an email that reads, "We apologize for the negative experience you may have had at this evening's performance with Nick Swardson. Unfortunately, this show did not meet the Performing Arts Center's standards as a world-class presenter of the performing arts. Therefore, all tickets will be refunded, etc., etc. Please accept our sincere apologies and be in touch if there's anything we can do to further assist you." As Swardson is doing that impression, he repeatedly said, "Here we go," as audience members booed and heckled him. He said, "Do you want me to finish this or no?" And people are heard shouting back, "No." Swardson took to Twitter and said, "Just casually woke up on TMZ. Travel tip, don't drink and take edibles in high altitude. Brain diarrhea. I'll make it up to you, Beaver Creek." To me, the lesson: no good comes from appearing in Adam Sandler movies. Trevor Noah has Idris Elba on his podcast, and they traded impressions. The setup here is Trevor Noah explains how he uses Nelson Mandela to get to his Obama impression. I've heard Dana Carvey explain impressions in the same way. And I know from my half-ass impression, specifically Jim Brewer, the only way I could start Jim is by going, "Pff, all right." That's the only way I can get into it. I have to do the "pff, all right" before I do anything in Jim's voice or the half-ass Jim voice. Anyway, you don't want to hear me do half-ass impressions. Let's listen to Trevor Noah and Idris Elba trade Nelson Mandela impressions.
My Nelson Mandela to get to my Barack Obama.
Okay.
Because I find they have the same... my conspiracy theory is that Mandela taught Obama how to do it. Because they got the same, because they got the same thing. Because because Mandela has the "I believe all South Africans must fight for this country." He's got that thing, right? Mm-hmm. And then Barack, if you take it's the natural progression of that, right? Mm-hmm. "I believe we can come together, and as Americans, we got to try to, it's a stronger voice. It has a lot of, but whenever I lose it, I have to go back to Mandela because it's the same. You know what I mean? Right. As Americans, we got to find our way to believe in ourselves. It's the same.
I'm fighting every impulse to challenge you to a Barack and a Mandela right now.
Why don't we do it?
No, because
what? What's going to happen?
Because you're just going to murder me.
I don't believe that that's true. I don't believe that that's true. I bet do your Mandela. I'll even it'll be like a harmony.
Trevor. When you're doing Mandela, there's got to be a very...
you see you're killing it. This guy just pulled it out.
But when it's Barack, there's got to be no, that's terrible.
No, but you're Barack. You know why? Because
I took it up.
Yeah, no, you're chesty. Yeah. Barack is also, he's also thrown. But your Mandela, that was flawless. I was almost doing like Mandela, like you hear him on the radio. When you're hearing a broadcast of Nelson Mandela.
Pitches up.
Johnny Mac likes when comedians mix up a little. On Monday night, Andrew Schulz shared a clip on Twitter from a recent stand-up comedy show he was performing in Philadelphia. In the clip, Schulz says, "I'll be honest with you. I don't think Meek Mill is gay, but he is incredibly bad about proving he's straight. He's maybe the worst in history at doing that. If someone accuses you of being gay, you don't go on Twitter and say, I love women," cleaning it up. "I love women." He uses words like juicy. Use your imagination. Schulz captioned the post, "Meek Mill is not gay, but Philly, I love you. Thank you for always holding me down. Just like Meek would hold down Puff, ... Joking, Meek, I love you, brother." Meek heard about the post and responded, "The first time I laughed at being gay." That had several crying laughing emojis, and then he tagged it with, "But don't whip me in the real life. I may swing. LOL. Mike Birbiglia will have a documentary at Peacock. It's called Good One, a show about jokes. It premieres March 26th. There's a trailer. I was blown away. Well, blown away is a little strong. I liked the trailer. I wasn't blown away by it. It wasn't like Star Wars. It's a nice trailer. It made me laugh, is what I'm trying to say. Shut up, John, and play the trailer.
Good evening, and welcome to the Strange Attic, where Mike Birbiglia sometimes performs shows for some reason. I love jokes, and I love storytelling.
He loves stories and process.
He takes that idea of what a special means, literally.
You're probably thinking, how come we just get the first draft? I think Providence is a first draft town.
This isn't a fully realized show.
All I'm doing right now is just throwing out jokes and seeing what sticks. What's the next show about? And it's like, I don't know. The last show was all about death. So now I'm trying to figure out, like, what's more high stakes than death? I'm happily married, which is to say, I'm not happy, but I'm happy I'm married. Does that make sense? You don't want it to be pretty good. You want it to be great. And the only way you make it great is writing. Need more there. Failing. Take out that line. Failing again. The ending worked well in the other show. Eventually, you'll arrive at something that is yours.
The special follows Mike Birbiglia through his process as he travels from Providence to Washington, D.C. while developing new comedy material. March 26th. Looking forward to that. Jamie Foxx has confirmed he is going to do a comedy special. He says, everyone wants to know what happened. Remember, he had the mystery illness. And I'm going to tell you what happened, but I got to do it my own way. Going to get up on somebody's stage somewhere near you. I got some jokes and a story to tell. Jamie talked about his recovery from mystery illness and said, I'm so thankful and I get emotional because it's beyond the scope. I had some people in my life that really made sure I was here because it was dire straits. I want you to see me laughing, having a good time, partying, cracking a joke, doing a movie, television show. I didn't want you to see me with the tubes running out of me and trying to figure out if I was going to make it through. By being quiet, sometimes things get out of hand. People say what I got. Some people say I was blind, but as you could see, the eyes are working just fine. Said I was paralyzed. I'm not paralyzed. I went to hell and back. My road to recovery had some potholes as well, but I'm coming back and I'm able to work. GQ profiled Hannah Gadsby. Here's the headline. Netflix has made transphobia profitable in comedy. GQ writes, when Hannah stays at an Airbnb, they like to check out their host Netflix algorithm. Looking at a stranger's stand-up recommendations, Gadsby says is illuminating. They tell GQ, if I were to understand Netflix purely from my own algorithm, I would say they're even-handed, if not a little skewed towards the queer audience. But that's not the reality. Gadsby jokes about their new special. This is the carbon offset show. You don't raise the Amazon and plant a tree. One of the comedians on the show is Chloe Petz. Chloe rolls her eyes at the way all the edgy comedians have got their trans routine. She thinks that's what Hannah is responding to, not just Dave Chappelle, but comedians inspired by his success. Why are you poking your nose into a discourse that has nothing to do with you? Hannah says, Matt Rife released a special opening with a domestic violence joke. He's not inventing anything. He's not smart enough for that. He's reading the algorithm room, and I'm just not interested in that. I think it's boring. Gadsby knows that there won't be a follow-up to this if Netflix doesn't get the numbers it wants. It has the power to elevate this. Whether or not it chooses to is up to Netflix. Hannah Gadsby's Gender Agenda is out on Netflix now. The New York Times had an article. Article's kind of... I don't like the headline. Here's the headline. Verbatim. Disgraced but embraced, pop culture pariahs are making big comebacks. Subheadline. Shane Gillis hosted SNL, the show that rebuffed him. Ye topped the Billboard chart after making anti-Semitic remarks. Has the mainstream given up on banishing bad actors? So here's what's bothering me. Pop culture pariahs and Shane Gillis? Really? First of all, the guy just hosted SNL. I didn't see too much controversy. There was a little before. There wasn't too much after. Pariah is a little strong. The guy got signed by SNL and I don't know what it was, 48 hours later, he was off SNL. It's not exactly OJ, you know what I'm saying? I think pop culture pariah and Shane Gillis in the same headline and subheadline. It's a little loaded. Thought this was interesting. Donnie Zoldan, who I worked with for a few years, says, some exciting news after 36 years in the same location, 78th and Broadway, Stand Up New York, good club, will be moving to Times Square. There's so much history and stories to tell from our time on the Upper West Side. I can't even begin to start. For now, we look forward to our grand opening March 14th and can't wait to begin the next chapter in our journey, bringing the best stand-up comedy New York has to offer. Our new flagship location is in partnership with Bond 45, who will also be powering the food menu. I just find that interesting, especially with Caroline's being gone. 78th and Broadway is a little out of the way. That said, a lot of big comics would drop in there because it was off the radar. People like Jerry and Amy would pop in and just do sets on the DL. There are other places in the city you can do that, and I guess you could still do it at Stand Up New York. But if you do it in Times Square, it's a little bit more than just kind of sneaking into a comedy club on a side street in the Upper West Side. Interesting, but Donnie's a good guy. Wish him nothing but success. I keep forgetting, I wanted to salute a young woman. I was at the Morristown On Stage talent show last week, and a young lady named Naomi Williams got up, and everybody else on the night, I think every single other act involved music. Naomi got up and did stand-up comedy, and she was good. She made me laugh, and I've talked about my psychotic Emperor of Rome thing where I don't laugh and I just go, oh, that was good, that was good. She made me laugh. So Naomi Williams, great job. On Gossip Corner, David Koechner was vaping marijuana on the stage in Maryland, says TMZ. Apparently there was a fan in the audience who was puffing on a weed pen. Dave noticed. Dave looked out into the crowd, said, who's smoking? Is that weed? The man responded, yes. David said, give here. The dude walked up to the stage as TMV and handed the vape to Dave, who started bantering with his fans as they egged him on to take a few tokes. Dave finally caved and took 2 huge drags, blowing out the smoke. TMZ and their legal department and Johnny Mack and his legal department say, quote, of course, we can't tell from the video it was really marijuana, but everyone in the crowd seemed convinced, true, unquote. Glad thing we cleared that up. TMZ says, we're told everyone had a damn good time. And that is your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. The show's been growing, and I really appreciate you all. Keep participating in the Facebook group, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group. You are very welcome. As I mentioned, I think yesterday, the first time you try and post, you'll get a timeout. We have to make sure you're not a porn bot. But if you're not a porn bot, we'll let you in. And if you're a particularly hot porn bot, we'll probably let you in too. See you tomorrow.